for we're talking about Black professionals and introverts. So often you've spent a lot of time working in your craft and you become a SME, right? You're a
Mhm.
subject matter expert on something. So very knowledgeable in your area, but maybe you haven't had the visibility that you need in order to advance and achieve your career goals and elevate. What are the natural things that maybe are strengths for these two groups that they could leverage to know what to say and when to interject, especially if they're dealing with like domineering personalities?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're dealing with domineering personalities, this is not a competition, right? This is not the opportunity for you to see who can speak the loudest, because just because someone is speaking the loudest doesn't mean that they're right, right? Like your opinion is your opinion. Your question is a question that you have a thought on or to want to educate yourself more on. So don't be afraid to ask questions because you think that, oh, well, maybe somebody already asked that question in the previous meeting and I don't want to look like I didn't know the answer, or maybe this is too basic and I don't want to get in trouble for asking the question. Maybe I don't have the permission to ask the question in this meeting. Again, they asked you to be in the meeting for a reason. So if you feel like that question may be a little premature or a question that maybe other people already know and it's probably a little basic, frame the question up to ask that way, to say, hey everybody, hey, you remember I'm new here, so I just have a quick question. This might have already been covered, but da 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 da. Ask the question, and that way people understand. Oh, that's right. Aarica's new here, so we need to kind of go back. Thanks, Aarica, for reminding us. Let's go back a couple of pages and kind of refer back to the initial conversation of why this initiative is happening. But again, seeing that you are engaged and that you're asking the right questions, that way they know that you want to be here and that you're willing to learn. Um, that's the key thing, is making sure that you want to be here and you're willing to learn those strategies of feeling confident in not only the questions you ask, but also your commentary. Now, a lot of people think, well, I don't want to say anything or add comments or add my opinions on anything because I don't know the full story. You don't have to know the full story. You just have to be engaged and have to ask the questions. Now, if there was some opportunity before to do research on what you are coming into, absolutely do the research, review the briefs, or go into the drive for the company and kind of read up on things and prepare your questions in advance. Another great tactic that you can use is, again, moving the needle to you meeting the next VP or the SVP or even just the person who's leading that initiative. Take down some of the questions that you think will be great for a post meeting coffee moment, right? Say, hey, I had a couple questions that I wanted to ask you, but I think it's best if I ask you one on one. Would you mind if you and I had a separate meeting for 30 minutes or just take a walk for coffee so I can ask you these questions? And they would be elated at the fact that you show an interest in their initiative or their team or whatever it is, because you're taking the time to have the initiative to say, hey, I have questions and I would love to speak to you one on one about it. So again, the environment that you're in plays a very key role in how you operate. If it is an environment where you see that there are people going back and forth, a lot of debating, or just a lot of personalities in the room, and you may not feel comfortable inserting yourself, it's okay. But understand and put some goals forth before you go to the meeting and say, okay, I'm going to ask at least one question
There you
and I'm
go.
going to comment on at least one thing. And that way you do those two things and you have your win for that meeting. If your goal for the meeting is to go and reach out to the lead person of the initiative, then make sure you do that. But your goals are your goals. So don't make it a competition with anybody else to say, oh, well, Larry over here is like sweating bullets with his point and he's fired up about it. Maybe I should direct myself to be just like Larry. Let Larry do Larry. You do you, because it's always going to come across the best way with the best intentions, because that is the brand that you're protecting. You don't have Larry's brand. You don't know how long he's been working on it or the people that he knows, or that he might be going golfing with the SVPs next week and the weeks prior to. He may have a separate relationship you know nothing about. You have to be confident in the game that you're playing, which is the game for your professional development and the goals that you have fit for yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And two, also playing towards your strengths, right? Like if you're analytical and detail oriented, listen for the things that people are missing
Mm-hmm.
because so it happens often and it doesn't matter how high level the people are that are in the meeting. They'll be
Yeah.
debating about something, trying to solve an issue, and they're overlooking a key detail. And that detail may very well be in your wheelhouse, and you might be the expert in the room on that. So
Yeah.
be prepared to offer what you know you bring to the table in those moments, because, like you said, sometimes they're afraid to be wrong, afraid it's a dumb question or dumb statement. There's no question, dumb questions or dumb statements. And you can preface it like you said. Forgive me if I might have missed this, but I just want to be sure I'm clear, right?
Hmm.
Add a preface and then make your statement. But if you're engaged, it's rarely viewed as being a negative thing.
Exactly. And for me, I'm in the business operations realm. So people love to see me coming, but they also hate to see me coming because they know the visionary leaders of the company. They're like, hey, I got this vision. We're going to do it this way, and it's
Yeah.
going to be great. I'm the person that's coming in with all the questions. So my hand goes up. I say, okay, now I think it's a great vision, but how are we going to do that? What day are we launching? I'm asking all the devil's advocate questions, the logistical questions, and hey, have we thought about this? Is there a way we can combine what we're doing with this effort because this team is doing this? And these are the things that while people sometimes get nervous about because they're like, okay, Aarica's going to poke some holes in it, but they end up being really glad you asked that question because a lot of times they didn't think about it. So it's not that you're smarter than them or that you're going to be off-putting to people, but a lot of times people have meetings or they are doing things and leading initiatives and they are missing some of the gaps that they did not know to look for. So
Yeah.
your role could be, hey, again, in a very respectful way, have a question. Did we think about how we can combine this effort with something that's already going on so we can not duplicate efforts or we can streamline our efforts?
Yeah.
Or is there a way that we can make this more efficient or faster process of doing this? Those are the type of questions that are also going to get you noticed because you're also going to give them some great ideas or just things to think about leaving that meeting. And they'll say, you know what? Aarica was really on point with that question. I don't have an answer for it, but I'm glad she asked it because I didn't even think about what we could do that could make this either a smarter venture for us or a less expensive venture for us.
Yeah, outstanding. Yeah. And I love what you said too about the setup for after the meeting. Like if,
Mhm.
you know, where it makes sense, maybe it's an opportunity for you to meet one on one, which is going to be a lot more comfortable for somebody that's an introvert, right? Maybe as a Black professional, if you're not well connected to everyone in the meeting, speaking to somebody one on one is a more comfortable lane for you to be in as you try to build more relationships, right?
Right.